Sean, good to see you. Today we're going to talk through the 5 questions you need to answer before you retire. To design your ideal retirement, you need to start with a few specific questions. And if you are married, we suggest you do this exercise together. So the first question is pretty straightforward. When do you want to retire?
Well, first of all, Erin, if you're married, you have to do this together, assuming you're going to stay married, right? This is a joint decision.
Yeah.
When do you want to retire? So you have to have that discussion, either with your spouse or if you're not married or if you have a partner, chat with them. But when do you want to retire? There's a lot at play with that. What is your health like? How do you feel? Are you burnt out at work? Are you kind of like forced into retiring because you just can't take it anymore? Or is this an objective that you have and a goal and you say, I want to retire at 65 because for some reason that's a magic number? It's different for everybody. Mm-hmm. You have to think about it. You got to think about the pros and the cons of when you retire and, just make an educated decision. We're going to talk a little bit more about the things that go into that, but make that educated decision and try to determine when's right for you.
Right. And have those conversations with your spouse sooner rather than later. So nobody's surprised.
Don't spring it on them.
Yeah. Wait, you want to retire tomorrow? All right. Second question. Where do you want to live when you're retired?
Absolutely. That's a great question. I live in New Hampshire. I'm not going to retire anytime soon. But when I do retire, my goal is to stay here. I love the changing of the seasons. I love the winters. I don't like this summer so much because it's hot. But, I love where I live. For other folks, they don't like the changing of the seasons. They don't like the winters, and maybe they want to go someplace warm. Maybe you want to downsize. Maybe you want to live closer to a city. Maybe you want to live more rural. You got to determine where that might be. For me, we're going to stay home, but for others, they're going to make that change. If you do make that change and you move somewhere else, understand the cost of living, understand all those impacts that will have on you.
Mm-hmm. Next, how is your health? You got to keep in mind that healthcare is often your biggest expense in retirement.
Healthcare is a huge expense in retirement. We budget right now, Erin, about $6,000 per retiree for healthcare expenses. Yeah. And that's to start. That only grows over time. That's $6,000 at retirement. It's going to get much bigger and bigger. The big thing that we need to think about is the expense of long-term care. Unfortunately, half of us, so between you and I, Erin, one of us are going to need some long-term care at some point in our lives. It's important to understand how much that costs. It's very expensive. Right now, the average cost is $68,000 a year for some skilled care. That's going to grow exponentially nearly over the years. We look at a 5% inflation rate for healthcare expenses. So understand what those expenses are and how it might impact when you retire. Of course, the longer you live, the longer you work, the more you can be able to put aside. So you have to have a holistic approach here, understand what those expenses are and how it plays into your plan.
Absolutely. Next question. When is the best time to claim Social Security? And I know this is something that you specialize in.
Yeah, thanks, Erin. There's no right time. All right. It's going to be different from everybody. Just as a refresher, everybody's eligible for Social Security at age 62. That's the lowest that the administration will pay you. Full retirement age for all of us out there is between 66 and 67 years old. The latest we can claim Social Security is age 70. That's the most they will pay you. Each year you wait, you get approximately an 8% increase in those benefits. For some people, Erin, they need to claim early. For one reason or another, they don't have, they had to maybe retire and they have to claim Social Security because they can't afford to live otherwise. For other people, they can wait. They can wait until age 70 and draw down some of their retirement savings. That's the ideal way to do it if you can afford it, but it's different for everybody. You should speak with a Social Security advisor, somebody that specializes this, to understand the pros and the cons of each decision, or when you claim, and to identify the best way for you individually.
One of the most important financial decisions you might make in your retirement too. And then last, because retirement is so much more than just a number in your bank account, you need to determine if you have a holistic financial plan that accounts for inflation, longevity, and your own unique retirement goals.
Exactly. Not only are you not going to discuss retirement last minute with your spouse, you're going to plan well in advance. In all honesty, saving for retirement is fairly easy. You're going to spend 40 years working. You're going to put money aside. You have to have it invested appropriately, but so long as you put money in over, every paycheck, and you put enough in, that will work out for you when you retire. When you do retire and the income stops, everything changes. Everything changes. You're not putting money in anymore, and you need to protect that nest egg. You have to understand how inflation can ravage what you've set aside. The cost of goods and services, if the increase is too much, you're not working anymore. You're going to have to make sure that your nest egg can support that. We've got to look at market corrections. Make sure that you're protected if we have a big market crash. You've got to look at your longevity. How long do you think you live? Do you have a family that lives into their late 90s, or most of your grandparents and parents, had they passed away in their 70s? That's going to have a big impact on you. Though modern medicine is keeping us alive a lot longer, for some of us, it's just not going to work that way. So we got to look at our longevity. We got to look at inflation, market risk, have a diversified portfolio, have a plan. Okay. Have a plan for retirement, work with somebody to help you structure that so that you can account for all those risks that you might face.
Right. And all these questions and answers are different puzzle pieces in that puzzle that you can help people fit together again for their own unique plan. Sean, if somebody would like your help designing their financial plan, how can they reach you?
Please call us. Our number is 603-715-2335. I'm happy to get on the phone and chat, answer any questions you have. We can also set up a meeting. If you'd like to go to our website first, that's daviswealthmgmt.com. You can look at a lot of information there, and directly from the website, you can put time on my calendar.
Great. Sean, thank you.
Thanks, Erin.